Yo, what's up, everybody? Welcome back to Lush Louisville.
Yes, Sarsky.
Good to be back. Good to be back. All right, what's up with this screen here? What's going on? Wrong screen. Wrong screen. There we go. All right, episode 28. 28 episodes in, man. Last week I was in Boca Raton, Florida, and I am currently peeling all over my chest and all over my arms. I was I wasn't burnt, but I was pretty crisp. And, so I spent my birthday there. That was nice. Took a week off from everything. Nice to disconnect. But it's good to be back now. And we got Josh John Marie today, former colleague of mine. We went to Manual together. He's a photographer. Also got his own little podcast. Went to UofL. Grew up in Louisville. Lots to talk about. A lot of creativity to discuss. What else is happening? Not a whole lot. I'm trying to think what's coming up this week. Pretty much just a regular week. If you want to be on the email list, let me know. We're still doing that. What time is it? I'm pretty set on everything. Just another day in the life, another episode with another creative. Let's get this mic right here. All right, let's go ahead and get Josh in here. Joshua. Joshy J. The man himself. Uh-oh. The final rings. Hey, there he is. What's up, man?
Yo,
How you doing?
good. I was trying to get you on my laptop, but it went through my phone.
Yeah. What you got going on today, man?
I just came back from a pop-up little photo shoot
Oh,
at
okay.
Better West, so super dope.
Yeah. You got big plans on this Saturday?
Nah, it's
Nah.
raining.
Yeah, it's
chill.
raining. Yeah, it's raining. Same. It's raining here, man. Well, Josh, welcome to the podcast. Good to have you on here.
Yes.
Glad we could make this work.
Yeah.
It's a long time coming, so it's good to have you here. So,
Yeah.
I kind of gave everybody just a little bit of a rundown. I told them a little bit about what you do and that you grew up in Louisville. But go ahead and give us a better background of your background in Louisville and where you grew up and things like that.
Yeah, so been in Louisville. I was born in New Jersey. We moved when I was about 3 years old, so I've been in Louisville ever since. Starting with high school, we went to Manual, obviously.
Yes, sir.
I did J&T track, journalism and
Yes,
communications, and then I went over to UofL. I went in as wanting to be a teacher, and then 2 years in, was recognizing that wasn't going to fit the bill.
I remember that. I remember when you were doing that.
Yeah. So then I tried to switch to graphic design, and the way the program was structured just wasn't going to work out. So I ended up finishing with marketing. So I graduated this past fall.
Nice. Okay, cool. So
Yeah.
what's life without homework and without school, man?
Bro, it's nice, but there's also if depending on what route you go, right? It's
Yeah.
I'm full time now, so now it's like all work.
Yeah.
So sometimes you miss just being able to do an assignment and just chill.
Yeah.
So.
But now, and in the real world, it's like if you're not exactly, you wish you could sometimes just chill. But when you're
Yeah,
not
but
working,
we're always in the real world, right? It just changes as we get older. They've been
True.
talking about the real world since like
Oh
kindergarten.
man,
Facts.
yeah, true that. So okay, so when did you kind of first get involved with? So you do a couple different things, but when I remember in high school the Instagram page. I was looking for. I don't know if you still have it. The Joshy J photos. Is it still there?
Well, morphed it into my
To
one
your
Instagram.
own. Okay. So when did you first get involved with photography and taking photos?
Yeah. So there's like two things that I vividly remember. So one, I was doing an internship junior year at a graphic design company, and at the end of the internship, my mentor Emily, she was like, "Well, we have 1 week left. Is there anything else you'd like to learn?" And she was like, "How about photography?" I'd never really gotten into it, and I was like, "Okay, I'll try it out."
Give it a
So she
shot.
taught
Yeah.
her Nikon, and she's like, "Well, walk around the block, see what you can find out." And I hated it. I couldn't figure out how the buttons worked. I would move one knob, and the picture would go dark. I'd move another, it'd be too bright. And I was like, "This is stupid." Uh, but stuck with it, and got into the rhythm. And then at Manual through, I think it was I took a photojournalism class, and we were able to get like press passes to shoot like football games and different things like that.
Yeah.
So shooting football games, and that's when I really got into it. Of like, okay, I tried to be on the football team, sucked at it, never
I
got
remember
any.
that. I remember that. Not that you sucked, but I remember when you were playing football.
Well, let's forget it because I sucked.
Hey,
I'm
you
not
made
sure.
an effort, Josh. You made an effort.
I made an effort, but I made it back on the field with the camera, and then from there, just starting to do like senior photos, and then getting clients, and then getting into film photography and some other stuff too. So yeah,
So well, first of all, what's it like shooting photos at a football game? Probably got to be on your
you
toes
got
out there on the field.
to watch where your
Yeah.
is. Yeah,
You
yeah.
might.
You've seen various videos of people just getting
Oh yeah.
knocked.
No mercy for the cameraman. Let me tell you
Oh
that
yeah.
in a sports game. So the correlation with how did it correlate with you with your photography and the work you were doing in JNC? What?
Yeah. Um, so when I was in JNC, I was on the newspaper staff that's now a news magazine. So I was doing I was like the graphic design. I was like the head of graphic design, but I was also doing some feature story writing still as well. So essentially, just a lot of storytelling, and then specifically the magnets set up so that you kind of dive into journalism and storytelling. Um, and there was a story that Chris Russell and I wrote
Mm-hmm.
uh, sophomore or junior year called "No Home for Homeless." No, "No Home for Homelessness" or something like that. And just looking at student homelessness within JCPS, and this story like came together over the lapse of like a year. Like we thought it was going to be this 3 month little project, and like
Yeah.
later we're like, oh my gosh, this is insane.
This is
Uh,
really happening.
so research and getting all these interviews together, we finally got the story together. We put it out, and then we hear that we won like national student journalism like story of the year or whatever for one of the awards. And we're like, holy crap! There was like I think there was like a $500 cash prize, so we each got like 250. Like it was
Uh-oh.
super. Um, so that was really my introduction into storytelling, and then photography essentially is storytelling just without words, right?
Hmm.
The saying of you can tell.
Yes,
Oh,
Sarsky.
man, what's the saying? A picture is worth 1,000 words. So really, just transferring that idea of like, okay, if I can tell a story with a single photograph, a single image, man, what can I do with photography? Like, I can really
Mm,
go crazy with it. So I think those two kind of connected for me, and I just fell in love with it.
absolutely. So
Yeah.
back to the story that what did you and Chris wrote? It was called what What was it?
I think No Home for Homelessness.
No Home for Homelessness. And what was that whole process like? So you said
Uh,
you thought it was going to be 3 months, and then it turned
yeah.
into like a whole year. What was that like?
It was crazy. We started with kind of like the idea. I remember, I think we would have like team meetings, and we would just kind of draft story ideas.
Hmm.
Um, it might have been me. I can't remember who it was exactly who pitched the idea of doing a story on student homelessness. But I think it just kind of occurred to me. I'm like, wow, okay, if there are people who are homeless or houseless, what is it like for students experiencing that, and what does that look like? So we just laid the framework. We try to find some students within Manual or just like other schools who might be experiencing student homelessness,
Hmm.
and kind of working different connections. Like we were at um, Hotel Louisville,
Yep.
which is downtown, which operates. It's a full hotel, but it also operates as a
A
um,
homeless shelter.
Yeah. So we got connected with the lady there. We told a little bit of her story and the kids that she was working with. And then there was just a lot of like research. Like we were on the phone with JCPS, like people weren't picking up. We had to send emails. We're trying to get all this data in.
Yeah.
So it was a lengthy process, and we wanted to do it. We wanted to do it right. Like we didn't just want to put something out. We wanted to get all the facts right. We wanted to tell the stories right. So just it took a long time, but it was worth it.
Yeah, that I mean that sounds like a very big a whole process. And you were sophomores. You two were sophomores.
Yeah, I think sophomores. Yeah.
So as a sophomore in high school, I'm sure that was like really a mind blowing process. Like
Yeah.
you said, you're sending emails, nobody's picking up. It was probably stressful, but it all came together at the end. And when did you
Yeah.
find out that first of all, who did you submit it to, or where did you put it out
Uh,
exactly?
there's a like publication awards for young. It's like young national journalistic or something. So our teacher at the time like submitted it because we always submit kind of work and things that we do. And I think
Yeah.
it was over the year. It was like an email or like a phone call, and they're like, "Your story has won," and like everybody in the magnet like freaked out. Like it was just
Oh,
it's
Josh and
crazy.
Josh and Chris were the men
Yeah.
that,
So
that year,
it was dope.
and
We had a column that we would do called the C. It was like the CJ. It was like Chris and Josh. So we would pose a question, write
okay,
my, I would write my thoughts, and Chris would write his thoughts. I think we only did it for like a couple of months, so it didn't live long. But we were we were doing some fun stuff back in the
yeah,
day.
living it up, man, living in the glory. Well, that's awesome.
Yeah.
So, how long is the story?
Uh, the story ended up being I think we did like might have been like 4 pages, maybe 6 pages. Like it was
Oh,
like a
okay.
full. Yeah, I don't know if it's online anywhere. I think I still have a physical copy. I'm just always gonna keep with me.
Oh,
But
yeah, definitely keep that for
yeah,
sure. Yeah, I was talking to Chris the other day, and he was like, "Man, I gotta watch this," and I was like, "Yeah." Josh told me about y'all's story that y'all wrote.
yeah, that's crazy.
Looking, so that was like what, like 2014, 15, probably. If we were sophomores,
We graduated in 2016, so yeah, 2014, which is wild. 2021,
it's 7 years ago, man. That is
yeah,
crazy.
yeah.
But something funny. Yesterday I finally sat down and looked at the manual 5 year reunion. Uh,
Oh
the
yeah,
virtual, very interesting. So, it was good to like just see what everybody's doing and
yeah,
see everybody. There was a few people that I was like, I don't think I ever saw them, but
yeah. No, I mean we didn't have a humongous class, but when you're like kind of separated by
yeah,
math,
yeah,
some people in a building the whole time. It's hard to cross paths with everyone.
that is true. But it was really good to catch up and see everybody. It sucks we couldn't do it in person, but of course,
Yeah,
COVID.
yeah.
But really looking back, I mean, we graduated 5 years ago.
Yeah.
That's
A
crazy.
a little Facebook thing popped up with like a senior photo I took, and I was like, "What in the world?"
Remember graduation, man, at Freedom Hall or wherever that was.
Freedom Hall, yeah, that was insane, man. That
Yeah,
was
we
crazy.
we could reminisce all day, but definitely good times. So
Yeah.
okay, so the you're in JNC, you're taking photos. When and you said so you started getting clients. When did that start happening as a photographer?
Yeah, so me and my buddy Camden, we were taking a photo. We were taking that same photo class, and I think someone was just like, "Hey, can you all take my senior photos?" And we kind of were like, "Sure." Like we didn't know what the whole process
All
was like.
right.
We were like, "Do we like how much do we charge, or like how do we work this out?" So
Oh
I
yeah,
think we
yeah,
we probably pitched at the time like $50 or something. We're like, all right, we'll take a couple of photos, and then from there, kind of just word starts to spread of like, oh, you can get your senior because it's this thing that you get your senior photos in high school, even though I don't really get the whole thing behind it. Like you're going to college and you're gonna
yeah.
get a
More
degree,
photos. Yeah,
but
exactly.
everybody gets senior photos done. It happens. Everybody's grandparents wants to see them in their little
Oh, of
I don't know.
course.
Um, but yeah, we got like one client, and then from there we like created like a flyer, and like parents would start like emailing or like, hey, I heard from so and so you do senior photos, like what are your rates? And we would slide them the flyer or whatever. So we made a good amount of money just kind of doing it that way and splitting it. So it was dope.
So the senior. So now, when were you a senior when you were doing that, or what year were you?
I think that was junior year, and then just keep we kept on doing it until like I was a senior in Camden. he's either a year or 2 years below me, but he was doing it with me, so
Yeah,
it was
for sure, man. And then, so you probably, I mean, that's a good way to meet people. Obviously, taking photos.
oh yeah.
What is the? So you have you get your clients now. It's somebody hits you up to take photos, and what is that whole process like? What do you usually do, and what happens?
Yeah. One, I've learned to start doing this more recently. Throw that deposit down so
Mm,
you can
yeah,
make sure you can lock it in. And then two, just kind of setting
Yes,
up,
sir.
or just
Facts.
understanding like what the client needs and what they want and how much time it'll take, and then just basing whatever your prices are at the time off of that. And then really too, just recently like understanding like um, on the podcast that I'm with my co-host, we had a local designer, and he's talking a little bit about the process of pricing yourself, and he was like, you have to pay yourself and you have to pay your business. And for me, I always grew up thinking I just have to pay myself, and it's like,
yeah. It's
man,
easy to think that. Yeah,
yeah, there's a whole nother side you have to sustain because it's like the equipment, the whatever that you might not be buying it every day, but it's stuff that you have to kind of invest into it. So it's like whatever you're charging for yourself, it's almost like double it because it's like put money into your business and then pay yourself too. So just learning different things like that, just as business continues to grow and as I get older. But yeah, essentially just figure out what the client needs and get a price down, set a date, get a deposit, then make the magic happen. You know.
yeah, and yeah. Those are key points. Knowing how to price yourself, and that's something I still continually talk about when people making songs, making beats, or want their songs done or recorded. That's a big process, and it's, I guess, ever changing, depending on, and then like deciding when your rates go up. That's another
Yeah.
thing, those are obviously very important things.
Yeah.
So what's where do you mostly, where would you say that, what what like events do you mostly shoot? Is it just like solo photos or weddings? What do you usually do?
Uh, a lot of portrait kind of whether they're headshots or senior portraits or someone just has an event and they just want it covered. So it's really across the spectrum. I describe my photography as like, so I have kind of the personal work I do and then the work that I do to bring money in. So the work I do to bring money in just ranges from, hey, I have a wedding coming up. Cool, I'd be interested in shooting it, or I need
Yeah.
headshots because that stuff. And then I have like my personal, and that's mostly my film photography, where I'll just take my camera on a nice day and go shoot, and then from there I can make money by selling prints or like whatever. But those are
Hmm.
kind of like the two buckets that I separate my work in. So I'm not too picky about the stuff that brings in money because it allows me to get cameras and film and different stuff for my personal work. So it kind of fuels that side of it.
So talk about selling prints. What do you, so you take your camera out and get some shots and then you sell them?
Yeah. Yeah, so I don't have like a shop or anything set up right now, but people kind of just inquire every now and then of like, oh, like, would you be able to get me a print of this, or like, do you have anything that looks like this? And then I work with a friend of mine, Michael Winters, and he like prints professionally, so I'll run everything through him of, hey, Michael, got a print that I need done, and I'll just send him the picture and he'll give me a price, and then we'll get it printed, and so that's kind of like the process there.
Yeah.
Gotta keep a plug wherever you go, you know.
Facts. Facts. So now that and still learning and growing about pricing yourself, and you're shooting photos and photography, you told me the other day that you're working in developing your own photos, and you kind of have like a
Yeah,
little photo lab, I guess you could say. What's up with that?
yeah. So traditionally, you would get like um, traditionally room to be able to develop photos kind of in the dark.
Hmm.
And so I'm still living at home, so I can't build out this extreme dark room and just transform the house how I want to.
Right,
So they
right.
have, yeah, so they have essentially instead of a dark room, they have these. It's almost like a garbage bag, but what you do is you stick your hands into it, and then you put the film in there. So it's completely dark while you're working with the film. Because if you were to expose your film before the chemicals process it, it's going to ruin the film because light is what allows the pictures to be exposed on the film. So you put everything in the bag. You're working. You're not able to see your hands. You're just doing it all based off of feeling. So I had to like work with a couple test rolls to get used to putting it on the film reel, and then from there you put it in a tank, add all the chemicals in. Once the chemicals interact with the film, then the pictures are exposed, and then you can bring it out into light. So, and really, I just learned off of YouTube. There was a photographer who was doing it, and I watched his YouTube videos like 50 times until I felt comfortable, and then I just went for it.
That's super cool. And you say, okay, are you taking the photos that you're developing? Are they taken on like a regular camera, like your personal camera that you use?
Yeah, so they're film. So with this process, it's only film photography. So you get that roll of film, you put it in your camera, you shoot photos, and then once you're done, you open that back up,
Okay, okay.
roll out, and then that's when it goes in that bag. And then you pop open the canister essentially that the film is inside, and then you have the strip of film, and then you put that on. Um, it's like a hamster wheel that you put it on, and then it goes in to a tank. You put the top on, and then you're able to pour chemicals into it, and then that's what processes the film.
Huh. So you
Yeah.
don't. So how come? What's the point of having like a dark room? Is that even like really a thing anymore? Like you said, you don't have
Yeah.
that.
So the dark room is like the next step after you would. So once I'm done with my process, I have a roll of film with pictures that I'm able to put on a scanner, and then I'm able to digitize. And the point of a dark room essentially is if you had those roll of photos, and then you wanted to make prints with those photos. So you'd get what's called an enlarger, and in a enlarger, you basically it's like this microscopic uh, piece of equipment that enlarges the prints, and you
Hmm.
put it on photo paper, and it basically copies whatever's on your film strip onto the photo paper. And you just need a larger room to be able to do that in the dark because you don't want it exposed to light.
Okay, so it's all about light,
Yeah, you don't
being exposed to light.
until things are really kind of mixed or developed. You don't want anything exposed to light because it'll ruin it.
Yeah, cool.
Yeah,
And how long you been doing that? Developing?
and it's only been like 2 months. It's only
Mm.
been, and I've only done a couple of roles. So I've had some successful roles. I've completely trashed some roles, so I'm still learning. Yeah.
Oh yeah, of course. I'm sure that's a tedious process.
Oh
Can't
yeah.
imagine. So, what kind of what is your overall like creative process kind of like? Like we could say with taking photos. What when you're with a client, where does your creative process start? Is it like when the client hits you up, or like are you immediately thinking like, okay, how do we do this? Or is it like when you get to the location? I don't know. What's a photographer's creative process like?
Yeah. Mine is pretty like on the fly. So I kind of describe it that I'm always taking in inspiration. So like um, throughout the week, whether I'm seeing things on Instagram or Pinterest or reading blogs or whatever, I'm
Yeah.
kind of internalizing and seeing the things that I'm seeing. So when it comes time to work with someone, I already have like an idea in my head of like what would work well or what angles or what kind of vibe that they're going for, and I'm able just to react on the fly. And a lot of times you have to just be ready to go because you might show up to a space and it's not what you're expecting. It's like, dang, how do I still make use of this and make something cool?
So it's kind of a lot of it can be up in the air sometimes.
Yeah, a lot of it can be up in the air. I know some photographers their process is more detailed, like they'll sit down with the client beforehand, map out everything that uh, what they want to do, and those
Hmm.
are those are more for like uh, it can be an intricate process, but a lot of times those are more for like large scale productions. Like if you were getting hired by a company to shoot a magazine cover, you definitely would want to have like a plan going in
Oh
and
yeah,
probably.
for sure.
But some people do that just for smaller shoots too. I've just never been able to find like the time or like the patience to like hop on one call, map everything out, and then go. I'm like, let's hit it. Whatever we create, we're gonna create. So
Yeah, that's cool. What's the most difficult, or do you have any like horror stories of shoots you've been to, whether it was like an event or something? You don't have to name names. I'm just curious. Like what's
uh,
the hardest that you can think of that was just like, wow, this is very stressful.
I'm trying to think. I did one shoot, and I remember I scheduled it during like golden hour when like the sun is coming down.
Okay.
Um, I was like, all right, like we're gonna shoot here because we're gonna have this amount of time. And the person I was shooting with, they just showed up extremely late, and we had like maybe 10 minutes of light, and
Yeah.
I was like, what do I do with this? Like, how am I?
Yeah.
You how am I supposed to do anything? So that I mean, I think that's the most like horrific thing. I've never had like uh, I don't know, like a shoot go really bad, or
Well, that's
thankfully like
good. Yeah.
my cameras have like stopped working in the middle of a shoot or anything like that. So I know photographer friends who just had horror stories of like their memory card just like not working or something like that. So uh, hopefully we can keep the luck going.
Yeah, definitely. And the golden hour, what is that? And talk about that. How important is that?
Yeah, so it's kind of like just a safe zone that you can always count on if you want to take photos, and it's essentially like 30 minutes to an hour before like the sun completely sets. So you just get like this little span of time during the day when the light is just like that perfect like golden yellow, and it's when everyone's taking the selfies and they're like, "Dang, my skin is popping." Like that's when you want to get out there for the golden hour because in the mid like harsh afternoon around like 1 o'clock 2 o'clock the sun is just like beaming down and it's almost overexposing or just like too harsh, especially on skin and different things. So later in the evening is just kind of like a safe time that you can always count on. I'm like, all right, the light's going to be even, people's skin are going to be popping, whatever I'm shooting is going to have like this little flare of light to it. So it's just
Hmm.
it's a good time. Yeah.
Okay, cool. The golden
Yeah.
hour. That just sounds like the most perfect time.
It,
But that makes
yeah.
sense. It makes sense.
Yeah.
Do people ask you that? They're like, "Hey, can we go out during golden hour?"
I usually just suggest it, like I'll, because it makes my job easier. Like I don't have to worry about lighting being harsh. So I'm like, hey, let's shoot around. You know, depending on the time of year, let's shoot around 6:30 or let's shoot around 7:30.
Hmm.
And whether they know it or not, like my goal is like, all right, let me try to get the light as even as possible, so I have to do less work in editing or whatever the case be.
Okay, I was just gonna ask you what's so after you take photos with clients, what's the next step? Do they usually just like do you I don't know, do you have like different rates for if they want them edited or if they just want them or do you do usually edit all your photos?
I rarely. I don't even think I rarely just like hand photos over because editing
Yeah.
is part of the creative eye, right? Because anybody can take a photo, and part of the uh, editing process is like that specific photographer's way of how they see the photo. It's like baking a cake. Everyone can bake a cake, but you've had a cake that's just like, dang, whoever made that cake
It's fire, yeah.
cake. So it's like, when you work with an artist, and this can go across any medium, you
Yes,
want them to go
facts.
through the full process because like that's their mark, that's their style. So yeah, I rarely send just like images that I take. I'm like, let me internalize them. Let me see
Yeah.
uh, once came out the way that I envision things, and let me edit and then send to you.
And what you working with Photoshop or what do you work in to edit?
Photoshop and Lightroom are the big ones. And then when I'm doing film photography, um, because the film stocks, they kind of so there's color film, there's black and white film, and then within those there's a range of like different. You can almost think of them as presets. If you've heard of like Visco, or if anyone's heard of Visco,
Yeah.
kind of like different film stocks that you can get. So if I'm shooting with like a Portra 400, it has a certain look that all the photos are gonna have, and then once I go, either I develop it or I send it off to a film development place. Once I get those photos back, they're already in that preset that I like, so I don't need to do additional editing. But with digital, I usually edit all my photos. Yeah,
Nice. How long does it
yeah.
take? What's the editing process like? How long is it usually?
On the project, I usually like to sit down on a weekend and carve out like 2 hours just to get like a set of photos done. If I do like a or something, it'll take me a couple of weeks because I'll do it in batches. But for a typical shoot, just like 2 hours of sitting down and get editing and getting it done.
Cool. Okay. And do you have your camera with you?
I have one.
Can you show us?
So this is one. This is my Canon. This is the 5D Mark III, I believe. Yep, 5D Mark III. So this one's digital, and then you can kind of like see photos that I was taking at the event today. So that's one of my digital. I think in total I have like 5 or 6 cameras.
Wow. Are they all similar to that one? Oh, okay.
This
Uh-oh.
is Goodwill, and it's just like a little small point and shoot camera. Um, this is a good. So like with film cameras, they're kind of like a toss up because they're like cool and fun to work with, but sometimes you don't know if they work. So I have a test roll on this one just to see um, if it works properly. So I'll go and get this one developed essentially. Boom.
Oh, he got me.
There
Wasn't
it is.
prepared. Wasn't prepared.
You were always got to be camera ready, but
So,
yeah, I got like yeah.
so now that Canon camera that you have, would you?
Yeah.
Is there like physical film? You said it was digital, so you
Yeah,
wouldn't when you're developing these photos, you wouldn't be using that camera, would you?
Right.
Okay.
Correct.
Okay.
Yeah.
That makes
Yeah.
sense.
Yeah, but they have film cameras that have that are what's the way to say it? So with a traditional film camera, it's completely manual, so you have to set all the settings yourself. But you can buy like a digital film camera that you can still use film in, but it kind of like reads the settings and everything for you, so you just have to click the button. But it still allows you to shoot on film. So there's a couple different ways you can do it. Yeah.
Interesting.
Yeah.
So you have 5 or 6 different cameras. That's a lot of cameras, a lot of photos.
Yeah, a lot going on. Yeah.
And so how often are you shooting with your clients?
Right now, really on the weekends, just because I started full time work during the week. But even for my job, I get to do some photography work. So I'd say like I'm always shooting, and then I have like a smaller camera that I keep with me. I can take a second and go grab.
Yeah,
a
go
couple.
ahead. Go ahead.
Okay, I'll be right. You're right back.
No rush. This is super interesting. Now we know a little something about developing photos. Oh, look, here's the photo that's behind him on the wall. Huh. Super cool. Looks like that's the bus, the city bus. Maybe, I don't know. Yeah, that's definitely what it is.
Got
Whoa.
all the toys,
All the toys.
and then even like, you know,
I was just looking at that on your Instagram. I was like, that's the
yeah,
photo that's on right behind him.
yeah,
Is that
yeah.
the city bus? It looks like somebody's on the bus.
That's on the UofL bus that circulates around
Mm,
campus.
okay.
So yeah, so let's see. So these are both film cameras. This one's smaller, so this one I just kind of keep with me throughout the day because it's really simple to keep on my neck and then just walk around and shoot like that. So the size of film that camera takes is called 35 millimeter. So that essentially is what's going inside of this smaller camera, if that makes sense. And then this is a medium format camera, so it's just a lot bigger than that smaller camera. And then the film that takes is about this size. So those are both film cameras. They're both manual, so I'm like controlling all the settings and making sure that everything is set right. So those are like 2 of my film cameras, and then this one doesn't work as well anymore, but like an original Polaroid camera.
That looks dope.
Large
Yeah.
large format. So now there's like the Instax where it's like the small little like quick ones that you can do, but these are like the These are the OGs that they had before the Instax came along.
It looks
Yeah.
like it. How old is that camera?
I wonder if I have the date on it. But not tell you, but it's they. So the film for this one's not even made anymore. So that gives it a little bit of a date. Uh, so yeah,
Vintage. Yeah.
yeah. So
What's your so the one you can't hang around your neck? You just said you keep that with you throughout the day because it's super easy to
yeah,
keep.
if I go on like a walk during my break at lunch, or if I'm doing something after work, I can just kind of pull it out of like my backpack, or it's already around my neck. So it's small and it's convenient, and a lot of like street photos, you kind of want to remain um, not secret, but just kind of out of sight. Like if you see a cool moment happening, you don't want to run up with
Yeah,
this because people are doing, bro. Or
that's a tank in your hands. Yeah.
this one I can kind of just pop up real quick and like get it. So that's why I really like that one.
Yeah. Okay. Cool.
Yeah.
And what's your favorite one? Is it that one, or does it really just depend?
Uh, I think this one's my favorite. It's easy to be with me, and I can get stuff that I see on the street, or if I'm hanging with friends and I just want to get a shot of them. I can do it. The cool thing about developing on my own is like I can control the pace of like how quickly I see the photos versus sending it off to a lab and then having to wait like a couple of weeks to get the photos back. So
Yeah, for sure.
uh, yeah,
Nice. Well, super super dope, man.
yeah,
A lot of good photo talk. That it's really cool. I don't know anything about that, but I now.
yeah,
That's
yeah.
super interesting, man. Especially that you're developing your own photos. You know, you've got multiple cameras. I didn't even expect you. I just wasn't thinking that you would have that many cameras, but that's super
Yeah.
cool. What was your first one?
The collection.
Do you still have it?
My first camera. It's actually at work. It's one that doesn't work anymore, but it's
Yeah.
kind of slim, a little bit bigger. But it was. I got it pretty cheap. It stopped working, and then I think once you fall in love with something, you just always find your. So like, if you're a basketball junkie, like you start buying jerseys or shoes or whatever. So it's like
Yeah.
with cameras, I'm always eyeing something that I could buy. But this one I found in Goodwill still has its stickers on it for $1.99. So you never know what you're gonna come across.
Goodwill is a classic. You'll find some treasures in there with anything.
Yeah,
Okay,
yeah,
so you know, we got you're taking photos. You got all the cameras. You got the clients now, and you're at U of L now. And what's going on there the past 4 years? What were you studying? What were you doing?
yeah.
What was that like?
So I did that. I did the teaching thing for about 2 years, and then I transitioned over into marketing. And then during my time there, um, with marketing, I got to work with the admissions office. They would kind of basically they brought me onto their staff just on a need basis. So whenever they would have like an admission day, or they just needed photos around campus, they would hit me up and I could go and capture those for them. And that was really cool, just from a networking standpoint of like
Yeah, for
uh,
sure.
getting to know the people. Just at the head of the school, and just kind of their connection. So whether there was an event and I needed special access or whatever, I could do that. I think I told you the story of how I met one guy who I told him, I was like, man, I'm just trying to get more involved taking photos on campus. And then that weekend, Migos was performing at the Louisville Palace for homecoming, and he just like shot me an email. He's like, yo, you want to shoot Migos? And I was like,
Duh.
uh, say no. And then yeah, he ended up getting me press passes to that, and then just different concerts and stuff that would happen throughout the year. And then the photo club. So Camden and I, who were doing senior photos back at
Yeah.
Manual,
Mm-hmm.
uh, Camden transferred over to U of L during his sophomore year. And we came together and we're like, yo, let's start a photo club. Like, we love photography. We want other people to get involved, whether they're been doing it for a while or just getting started. So we called it Exposure Photography Club, with the goal of just exposing people to photography essentially. And then there's a whole play on like exposure and the light and all that stuff.
Ooh, nice.
And We ran that for about 2 years, and it was super dope. I mean, we had at one time like 30 people involved, like coming to our events, and just we'd go on photo walks. So we'd go like to the skate park, and we would all just
Oh,
like
okay.
be,
That's cool.
or we would bring in like a local photographer to kind of share their story, just kind of have like a conversation about the work that they do. So it was super sweet. It came to a close once I graduated because I did a bad job of like setting up the transfer of leadership. It just snuck up on me. I was like, oh
Oh, well,
snap,
no, yeah,
I
especially.
have no one to transfer this to. So, but it was a fun ride. Yeah,
That's dope, man. And it was around. The photo club was around for 2 years. You said.
yeah, I was around for about 2 years. Yeah,
So that was what, like 2018, I guess.
20 like 2020. Yeah,
Sweet.
yeah.
And so, what's on the agenda now after college?
So I just started at Big Brothers Big Sisters of Kentuckiana as a communications manager. Um, for 5 weeks now. I've
Yes,
been there
sir.
5 weeks. Prior to that, I was at a company in Louisville called Zimmer Design. They're a local, just full-on shop creative agency. So they did branding, graphic design, all that stuff. So I was doing project management and content strategy there. And then I just started at Big Brothers Big Sisters five weeks ago. So uh, still getting to stay within the creative world, which has been cool, and kind of do it on a more professional level.
Yeah, for sure. What do you? What's Big Brothers Big Sisters? What do you do? You said you were a. What did you do there, or what do you
Yeah,
do there?
I'm the communications manager. So Big Res Big Sisters is a nonprofit, and their big, or I should say our, because I'm part of the team now. Our big mission,
Oh yeah,
um, creating and supporting one-to-one mentoring relationships. So we have in our program what we call bigs and littles. So bigs are the adults and littles are the children. And essentially, we ask people to sign up as bigs for the children who are on our wait list, and they just kind of keep their mentoring relationship for how long ever as they can. I've just been able to hear like the coolest stories of people who've been in a mentoring relationship for 10 plus years, or people saying like, yeah, my little's about to graduate, we've been doing this for like the past 15 years or whatever. So it's super awesome, man.
sweet. And you've been there a
Yep.
month. You said 5 weeks.
Yeah, about a month now. Yeah.
What's what's your typical day to day there looking like?
A lot of emails, and then
Yeah.
kind of just figuring out when I can like grab my camera and go and like photograph a story, or if there's like someone that we want to highlight that really represents our mission, and then just understanding like communication strategy. So like, do we want to send this through an email? Do we want to create a video? Do we want to do this through a photo? So just kind of paying attention to how we're marketing ourselves, really ultimately with the goal of creating and supporting these mentorships, and then also having to bring money in. So it's this fine balance of like, we need people to come in as mentors, but we also need people to donate and select us as their charity of choice to kind of keep the mission running. So
Definitely. Well, that's super
yeah,
awesome, man.
yeah,
Glad you're doing that. You see, you'd be good at that. You
appreciate
are. You are good at that. If you've been working
Thank you.
there. Now, I want to go back for a second. I'm just curious. The teaching route didn't work out. Why?
Oh
I'm just
man.
curious.
I think I just had this moment where I was like, so the way they had it set up, you have to like choose a subject, right? So it's like you either do math, you do science, you do history. I had no interest in math. I had no interest in science. I was
Yeah, absolutely not.
like,
Yeah.
all right, I'll take. So I think when it really hit for me is I had this 8 a.m. like history class, and I'm just like sitting there, and I'm
Oh
like,
my god.
there is no way I'm gonna be able to teach this back to students and like be energetic about it. And I had gotten like really sick at that time too. I was like, man, I feel like this is just like a sign from God. Like this is the perfect transition. Like I'm not supposed to be doing this.
Yeah.
I'm not even passionate about this. So I love working with kids, and I love doing things with kids. Like even with the photo club, we developed a mentoring program where we got to go to Iroquois High School, and we spent like 3 or 4 hours across the span of a couple of visits, just with kids, kind of literally bringing in cameras and film rolls and showing them how it all works. So like I love working with kids, but I was like, I don't think I want to be trapped in the box of teaching. And I have friends who are excellent at it and they're killing it, and
Yeah.
I always support them. But I'm like, that's just not.
It's
It's
not
not
you.
like
Yeah. One of my good friends is. I was in Florida with her. She's a teacher,
Yeah,
She been telling me some stories about some of these kids, man.
crazy.
It's crazy.
So,
Well, I
I
was
would,
just
invite me in. I'll do a presentation, but I just couldn't do it full time.
yeah. Well, at least you recognize that and you knew that. But yeah, no, that 8 a.m. history class would have definitely tipped me off too.
It was crazy.
Was that like a 3 hour 8 a.m. class or was it just like a regular?
Nah, it was either 45 minutes to like an hour and a half, but it was brutal. Like it was
Oh, I'm
deep.
sure.
The professor would just start talking, and I'm just like, oh wow, like
So it's like this.
I was like, wow, like you're really passionate about this, and I'm just like, I could care less about being in here right now.
Right, yeah.
Yeah,
But you gotta always give. There's everybody has those teachers. I had a couple in college that like were super passionate, and you got to give them their props because I had this teacher for my speech class, and it was everything was so extra, but you know I saw how passionate she was, so I definitely respected her. But yeah,
yeah,
that was just like oh my god. But
yeah,
well, I was just curious because you had
yeah,
mentioned
yeah.
that a
No,
little
no,
bit. Okay,
yeah.
so going back forward, you're recently. Well, actually, I don't know how recently, but tell us about the podcast that you're involved with. What's it called, and what's the goal, and what do y'all do?
Yeah, so so my buddy Ben Terry. So I used to work with and for Ben when I was in college at a company called Access Ventures,
Mm-hmm.
and he brought me on to help manage a program called Visco Voices, and that was a grant
Cool.
program that started with in partnership with Visco. Like the photo app is what they're mostly known for. So I helped him manage that, and then after Access, I went to the design company job at Zimmer Design, and then just recently, this past since January, Ben hit me up. He's like, "Yo, I'm thinking about starting a podcast, and I need a co-host. Would you be interested in being my co-host?" And at first, I was like, "I don't know. I've never done a podcast before. I don't even know what that looks like." But I just kind of went with it. Ben's been a good. He was a boss. He's been a mentor. He's been a friend. All those things. And I was like, "All right, let's do it." So, show's called How You Create. And the whole goal is just to have conversations with creators and understanding their creative process, the tools that they use. And then the big part of our segment on our show that we really enjoy is talking about money.
Cool.
So a lot of money is kind of like this taboo thing of like, never talk about how much you make or like how you do your prices. So we bring our people on and we're like, hey, these are the things that we're hitting. So like last week we had the designer on and he's like, this is what I think about pricing. How people should price themselves. Or sometimes people are like, yeah, I make $165,000 a year, and it's just like the cat's out the bag. Like it's super, it's and
Yeah.
so yeah, really, it's just our goal to bring those conversations to light. And we've been running since January, and yeah, now we're in April, so it's been cool.
Cool, man. Yeah,
Yeah,
it sounds like a podcast that somebody I know does. But that's super awesome, man.
yeah,
It's really the same. That my goal is the same thing. Bring these
yeah,
creative conversations to light with different creatives. That's super
yeah,
dope. And what do y'all do? I think you were saying you've got it uploaded on streaming. What's
yeah. So we're on Spotify, Apple, and then Substack, and then we're releasing episodes every other week essentially,
mhm.
and then in the weeks that we're not releasing an episode, I'll either go and do like a local photo story of a creative here in Louisville, um, or we'll send out like a newsletter. So just trying to like find different ways to stay engaged with our audience and continue just to highlight people. And the cool thing is like you can never. There's just so much talent that there can never almost be enough people telling these stories or just highlighting different creatives or artists or whatever. Like I love running into other people who are like, I got a podcast or I got a show or like I got this thing. It's like cool. We need more of it. Like keep on adding to the mix.
And so it's a weekly thing.
Yeah, we record. We try to record weekly, but we release an episode every other week.
Oh, okay, okay, cool,
Yeah,
cool. So y'all are not doing the live streaming.
we it might be something we get into, or just even like recording video and sharing it.
Hmm.
But right now we're just recording mostly remotely, and then doing all the editing and mixing and whatnot, and then putting out the episode. Yeah,
Nice. Yeah, I need to get on that, putting these episodes on streaming because that's like where everybody listens to podcasts.
yeah,
I just wanted to do the live stream thing, but obviously you can do both. But that's definitely something I need to do. You said you use that or distributor Substack is the
Yeah, Substack, and then Ben, my co-host, he's really like the one who goes in with the audio, and I like to describe him as a tech geek, and he knows he is, but he's all about the apps and like finding like the best equipment and all that stuff. So yeah,
cool. So y'all that's been a thing for about 4 months, you said, or 3 months, going on 4 months.
Yeah, and it's cool because it's, we're taking people on this journey of like we'll say in the recording, we're like, this is our fourth episode, so like we're still learning on like what we're doing, and how things are working. So it's cool kind of being able to tell that story as well as sharing other people's stories of just experience of starting a podcast.
Yeah, absolutely. That's kind of the same epiphany I had. It's been almost a year now since I started Lush Louisville, and it was kind of like I was seeing this podcast on YouTube. It's called Producer Grind, and they're like, music producers, and they interview producers. And I was like, man, it'd be really cool if I had a podcast. But I didn't want to just do music people. I wanted to do all the creatives. So,
or I saw you had a chef on like 2 weeks ago,
Chef
I think.
Damo, yes.
That's super dope.
Yeah, he's some of that food he cooks.
Yeah.
I gotta get.
Like, what was it? Clay Devlin with NFTs and like the art that he's doing. So it's really cool.
Amazing. That was that was the first episode this season. That was definitely a big show.
That's awesome.
And we had Emma Fitzer-Price on a couple weeks ago. It was awesome, amazing.
Yeah.
But yeah, well, that's awesome, man. So you got you've got the job, and you got the photos and the podcast. You got a couple things you're doing. That I commend you, man. That's it's not easy. It's not easy doing all that. Especially what was your photo business like during COVID? What kind of happened there?
I mean, completely dead. And really, I use that time to kind of like learn about developing film, and then just doing like personal. So I'll try to get on like a walk like every day, because just to get out the house. And a lot of like more personal work of just like photographing at the park. So it was definitely slowed down. And then recently I put out a collaborative zine, which is essentially like a small photo magazine with a couple of guys that I meet with every week, who are also photographers. And within that, we just had a bunch of photos basically that we created over COVID. And a lot of it was just personal work of just family or just outdoors. So during those like down moments, really like amping up the personal work that I do, which is really awesome.
Sweet, man. That's great.
Yeah.
But business kind of back, business booming now after,
Yeah.
I guess COVID's pretty much, well, I'm not going to say anything about that, but
Yeah, the weekends, when I'm not working, I get to, like today I was shooting a pop-up event at Better Days West. So just kind of getting out in the community, or just doing different, got a couple senior photos, weddings, and different stuff coming up. So the weekends are when it's popping for sure.
And I saw you were taking a lot of photos during the protesting last summer. What was that like?
Yeah, really just like, the way that I approached it, I think for me is, I didn't want to just be there to take photos and then not say anything or be involved or being part of anything. But I think an important part of taking photos is recognizing them as archives and recognizing them as history. So really documenting like the time and place that Louisville was at, and the pain and the anger and just the emotions that were happening during this time in our city. And as we're still in this place of healing and seeking justice. So I think for me, really just documenting from a place of wanting to archive the work and have it there, rather than a place of like, let me go get these photos and share them all on Instagram and like try to get these likes and like be this. I didn't want to be in the way, if that makes sense. I wanted to be a part of it, but I also wanted to document it from a place of archiving and preserving kind of a moment in this time and place.
Nice, man.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was just seeing them on your Instagram. Well, that's cool. You were saying you didn't want to be in the way. That's a good way to look at it. Yeah, that was definitely a crazy time. I remember actually I had just started the podcast then, and it was like week 3 or 4, and I was asking you to be on, and you were like, man, just with everything going on right now, and a lot of people told me the same thing. But now I'm glad we could get you on.
Yeah, exactly.
That's crazy, man. Well, Josh, it has been great to have you on here. You know,
Yeah.
Any last words before I put you in the Lush lockdown? Don't forget about the Lush lockdown. Don't be nervous now. But you got any last words?
Any final words? No, it's just really thankful for, the opportunities and things that I get to do. I always just try to look at a place of, we're all given these gifts and talents, and just trying to use those blessings from God just to, in whatever way. So for me, it's been really cool just to be able to use storytelling and photography and different things. And I'm thankful for people like you who, want to tell these stories and share them with people. So it's been dope, man.
Well, I appreciate that, man.
Yeah.
Awesome last words. I appreciate that. And you too, man. Same with you. Y'all are getting with how you create. Y'all are getting these creatives together and telling their stories and their conversations. So keep that up, man, for sure.
Appreciate it.
All right, Joshua, I got you here in the Lush lockdown. I'm gonna ask you a couple of. Hang on. I lost your video. Hang on.
Okay.
I got a couple of questions for you. What? Oh, here we go. There you are. All right. Couple of questions, totally opinion based. A couple of questions about Louisville, and I want your most honest answer. Don't be lying to me now. I'm gonna give you 10. Right. I'm gonna give you 10 seconds.
Okay.
I'm gonna ask you just a couple of questions. All right. You're in Louisville. You got $10. Where you going to eat? You got 9 seconds.
Panchitos tacos. Get some tacos and Cheetos. Yeah.
Where's that?
It's off Bardstown Road. It's like a little ice cream and taco shop. Some of the best tacos in Louisville.
Really? Best tacos in Louisville. What about Taco Luchador?
Nope.
Is it giving them a run for their money? Oh. Nope. Actually, you know what? You said it's on Bardstown Road?
Yeah.
I think I might have been there once. But also it might have been another Taco Lucha. I don't know. But yeah, most people on here will say like a chicken place. That's just what most people have said. But there's been a couple people. One guy said Taco Luchador before, but that's cool, man. Panchitos. I'll have to check that
out. Yeah.
Okay. All right, Josh. 10 seconds. 10 seconds. Question 2. He's still up to bat. Favorite place in Louisville to take photos? You got 9 seconds.
Favorite place in Louisville to take photos?
5,
I'd say
4.
Downtown Louisville. Boom.
What'd you say? You cut out.
Downtown Louisville.
Downtown Louisville. Why is
Yes.
that?
You just never know what's gonna go on. You just never know. It's a different day.
Different day.
Yes, sir.
So true. All right, man. All right. I was gonna ask you if you were UK or UofL, but that's obvious.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. Come on now. All right. All right, I'm gonna give you 7 seconds for this one. Your favorite camera, Josh. Go. Oh dang. Oh, we already talked about that. I did ask you that earlier. Dang. Okay. Well, whatever. And this will be
my backup though.
And that camera you keep around your neck is like the model? What's it called?
It's called Canonet QL17. So the QL stands for quick load. I can't remember what the 17 stands for, but not a lot of people have it. So I kind of like having something that's not that's a little exclusive. So yeah.
For sure. Yeah. Well, Josh, it has been a pleasure having you on here. In the
sir.
Lush lockdown and on the podcast, bro. It's definitely good. I'm glad we could connect. You know, you've got the podcast. We're bringing creatives together. That's definitely a cool segment on here. We can talk about that. And keep up with the photo work, bro. You do a great job. I always remember you, man, as just a kid. Always had the camera in high school. When I met you, you always, I knew you were in JNC, but I just, from whenever I think about you, I just remember back, you were always taking photos.
Joshy J photos, yeah.
Joshy J photos. Yeah, man. Those are the days. But yeah, any final words? You already gave some last words, but any final words?
No, if anyone's interested in any photography stuff or ever has any questions, my DMs are open. I'm always happy to help or answer any questions. So I'm a resource.
A resource, yes, sir. And everybody, you can follow Josh on Instagram. It's just Joshua. Let me get back to the Joshua John Marie.
Yep.
All one word.
Yep.
Give him a follow. You still on MySpace, Josh? Should we follow you on MySpace?
I'm on MySpace. Parents didn't let me have a Facebook in middle school. They were looking out, so I'm all good.
I didn't have a Facebook until like right at the beginning of high school.
I'm all good. But...
All right, Josh. Well, appreciate you coming on here and just keep in touch, bro. All right.
All right, bro.
All right.
Take it easy.
Appreciate you.
Bye.
Man, great episode. Great episode. Oop. Always good to see Josh, see what he's got going on. A lot of good talk, a lot of good creative talk. Super cool about he also has a podcast doing very similar things I'm doing. We'll have to do some kind of a collab, like he was saying, with the photo series that when some weeks they don't put out episodes, so he'll come and do a story, photo story, something like that with other creatives. I would definitely be down to do that. That's super cool. But yeah, that's pretty much all I got this for this week. Episode 28. We're wrapping up season 3. We got 2 more episodes left. Episode 30. Y'all not ready. Got somebody big for y'all. Somebody big. Yeah, that's pretty much all I got. Everybody hit me up for the email list. I'm trying to think what else. I don't have anything. Everybody be safe this week. Hit me up. Talk to me for ideas about the show, anything like that. Lush Louisville. We are Lush Louisville.